The NCAA Division I Council voted Monday to grant an extra year of eligibility to all student athletes in spring sports whose seasons were canceled because of the coronavirus pandemic. This was what some coaches really wanted, among them UConn women's basketball coach Gino Auriemma. Also, many baseball coaches wanted this. We saw men's basketball coaches try to push for winter sports to get some of this, but they did not get it. We understand why the spring sports are given an opportunity. They didn't get to play a full regular season, right? Whereas the winter sports, for the most part, did, right? We're talking about them winning postseason opportunities or losing postseason opportunities. So wrestling, out. Basketball, out. Now we're talking about softball, baseball, track and field. But there's a little bit of a caveat here. The NCAA will leave it up to each school to decide whether or not to grant seniors in spring sports less or equal financial aid next year compared to what they received this year. The NCAA said in a statement that the financial aid flexibility applies only to student athletes who would have exhausted their eligibility in 2019 and 20. Now, why I think this is interesting is because of this bit where the NCAA says we're going to leave it up to the schools to evaluate financial aid. Less or equal, which is to say that they could offer zero if they wanted to. It's going to really make the transfer portal a thing that is on and popping because scholarships are finite is what we're getting out of this. They are not extending more scholarships. They're just saying, hey, if you want to keep your seniors on, that's great. But you still got to work with what you have. In a sport like baseball, where you have 11.7 full scholarships to divvy up, that's going to matter. Where you have softball, where you have just so many scholarships to divvy up, that's going to matter. It's going to make schools look like the bad guys because they're not going to be able to offer their seniors the same kind of financial aid, if they were getting any at all, to come back next year. I don't think that that's fair of the NCAA to do, but it's not about fair, is it? Right? You guys want this? Fine. You can have it. Here's how we're saying you can go about it. Work within this box. Going to be a lot of tough conversations being had with some seniors. Because I submit to you, the value of an incoming true freshman is a bit higher than the value of a senior. You get 4 years of eligibility out of them, 5 to play. If that senior was not instrumental to what you're doing next year, you're probably going to give them their walking papers and say, hey, I'm sorry things worked out the way that they worked out. Mayberry, I find this one to be a bit more fascinating because I believe so many coaches just kind of flipped the table and threw up their hands about a tough conversation that they were trying to avoid. But I'm also interested to see if somebody's able to flip this around because there's got to be a loophole here that somebody's going to be able to exploit that we're not seeing. Man, I think you're right. It's like Jurassic Park, where if coaches find a way to exploit this, they will. Look, you're right. All the dinosaurs are female than they were. Okay, so let me run with that for a second. And that, what happened to Jurassic Park? Jurassic Park got torn asunder by the dinosaurs. Okay, you can play with this. You could play with life. Life has a way of winning out. It's like the transfer portal. Hey, we think this is a great thing. Okay, let's see how it actually works when people have their own interest and set on it. Let's see what happens when risk is involved at a different level. Let's see which one of these coaches absolutely positively wants to recruit from it. And the others who are going, wait a second, I didn't know that I was going to have to keep recruiting the kids after I recruited the kids, which is what it is in every other business. That's the part of this that I think is really just asinine. If you are a business owner, if you are a manager and you have star talent, You need to recruit the star talent to stay with you. Give them good opportunities. Make this a difficult place to leave if they are star talent. If not, you don't lose anything. You want to make life easier on you by putting shackles on other people? No, that is uniquely un-American, all right? This is not the place where we're going, hey, let's do the socialist thing. Let's do the communist thing. Let's make everything equal and everybody get the same. Let's not try to make it so, you can get ahead of this person because you're willing to work a little harder. Or let's not make it so you don't have to work as hard as this other person who is working harder. Okay, this is a system in which the folks that are competitive and are willing to work around the clock, who are willing to continue to do the hard work, get rewarded, or so we're led to believe. And I think that's true at the high level of sports, at the high level of softball, at the high level of football, at the high level of gymnastics. Pick a sport. The best coaches are the ones who are outworking others. It's not always true once you get money involved and you look at the lower tiers. Like, I'm not going to put Fresno State in the same bucket as Oklahoma, right? It's two different tax brackets. But watching Lincoln Riley whine about the transfer portal, I wouldn't be here for that. Watching Dabo Swinney whine about the transfer portal, I'm not here for that. Mark Richt doesn't even have a job, and he whines about the transfer portal and about, wait a second, I got an idea. I'll wait for somebody else to develop players, and then I will go recruit those players to my football team. Well, I think you're jumping to a ton of conclusions there, Mark. One is, you're usually loyal to, one, the people that help to give you an opportunity, and two, if they're not giving them an opportunity, that's why they become disgruntled. Then you got to figure out why the kid is disgruntled. Dana Holgorsen once got up to the Big 12 Media Days podium and said, I don't want a kid coming out of the portal just because he says he didn't get an opportunity to play. Yeah, well, if that was a 5-star quarterback, I bet you would. Just like a 5-star defensive end at Alabama transferred into Houston. You wanted him, didn't you? You want talent. Now you holding on to talent is also something else, because De'Aaron King said, you know what? I'm better than Houston. And Dana Holgorsen tried to say, nah, he's not going anywhere. He's redshirt. He's going to stay here. I got his word. It's fine. Now we have a system in which players can be like coaches, and one day they're coaching one place and the next day they're coaching another, and that's supposed to be all right. Whereas if a kid does it, now we got to shun the kid. Now we got to yell at the kid. Kids don't want to compete. Coaches don't want to compete. Friggin' Dana Holgorsen went from the Big 12 to the American. And I don't care how you slice it up. As this landscape stands right now, that's taking a step down. Also means that they were able to pay him something worthwhile. Now, watching how these conversations go, I wonder if some of the seniors get an opportunity to sell themselves. If some of the seniors will pull a Tom Brady, call up the Bucs GM, call up the Bucs head coach and say, hey, this is why I'm good. This is why I can help you. This is why I'm more valuable to you next year than someone else, or why I'm at least as valuable as the scholarship that I had. Sabrina Ionescu, if she wanted to come back and they were allowed, she's in a winter sport, so she's not. I bet you dollars to dimes head coach at Oregon would want her because he wants to win. Same thing goes for a Gino Auriemma at UConn. He would love to have his best players back because he wants to win.